Hello again, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Awesome 80s podcast. This is Michael.
This is Lawrence. Hi, Michael.
Hi, Glenn. How are you today?
I'm great. Lizanne says hi.
Hi, Lizanne.
You know her.
Is she still retired?
She really is. She's enjoying it.
What is she going to do? Unretire? Go work at hockey?
Some people, they've got big dreams for when they retire. Like they're going to open up a dog ranch or
Who's going to open up a dog ranch?
I don't think she was done working, and that's more realistic. She was over it.
I'm just done working.
Yeah.
I'm done working.
Okay.
That could be tomorrow. I
get it.
Well, Liz is here. Hi, Liz.
Hi.
Welcome back.
And you brought your cat?
She's right there, yep.
I'm not going to say we invited you back for selfish reasons, but a lot of people viewed your episode on YouTube.
Record number for the Awesome 80s podcast.
No, I didn't realize they were on YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
That changed a lot. Oh, my gosh. All right.
You're probably going to want a cut of that $3 that we earned off that episode. But the good news is that, we don't put your name in the title, so if anyone searches for you, they ain't going to find you. If you're trying to get that job with Oprah, nope, she ain't going to find you. And she's not going to give it to you for like a million other reasons. So
I can go ahead and log out of my IMDb because there's really no.
Yep. Hey, take a show note. Get us on IMDb. Save it for the intern. So, Michael, I just saw you actually in Liz's old stomping grounds this weekend in Galesburg, Illinois.
Illinois.
Oh, tell me you went to that Iron Spike.
I did not.
Everybody goes to Iron Spike. It sounds amazing.
Michael, have you been to the Iron Spike?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
It's pretty good.
They've got exotic beards there.
Well, exotic for Galesburg because we were. I was at a small town bar with you actually in. What was that town? It wasn't Peru, LaSalle, and we asked for what exotic beers they had, and they listed Dos Equis and Corona. So
have you ever tried Dos Equis or Corona?
Whoa.
We are now into month 3 of our beard growing contest between me and Michael.
Let me see again.
I think I'm winning.
Well, mine looked really good for a while, then I shaved it off.
I was going to say, you're not doing very well there.
Yeah. No, that's about what it looked like.
Conan O'Brien hair is looking pretty.
Thank you. It's extra poofy.
It's a coif.
There is we have a logo, and I'm trying to look as close to the logo as possible.
I used to do that with my bangs when I was in 8th grade. It takes some work.
It's some work. You got to blow dry. You got to brush it.
Aquanet.
You got a logo, all right?
Aquanet, yeah. Yes.
Lots of spray.
So, quickly, you and I had a great opportunity this last weekend to guest on another podcast in the Galesburg area, greater metropolis of Galesburg, the Ivy Envy podcast. I don't want to toot our own horn, but record downloads day one.
I've been on their podcast maybe 4 times, and before I was on the podcast, they self-proclaimed themselves the kings of Knox County, Illinois podcasting, and that was prior before they even started podcasting from Knox County,
I was going to say that I didn't realize they had the technological capability podcast.
Well, I appreciate them inviting us on their show. Maybe we'll invite them on our show sometime. That would be great. But I would, I'd like to let them thank us for giving them the Awesome 80s bump. There's many types of bumps in this world, and the bump that we gave them was in listenership.
You know what you're going to need? You're going to need us on your podcast. That's what's going to put you over the top.
Also, we've been doing this 7, almost 8 years, and we've never received more hate mail than we received this week for our last
God. Oh, God damn it.
It turns out we had a conversation about when Abe Vigoda was going to die and why he's still alive. And 3 days later, the bitch drops dead.
I thought he already was dead.
Everyone thought he was dead.
Well, I thought there was a hoax on Saturday or something. Like his daughter came out and said it was a hoax on Saturday, and then 2 days later he was actually dead.
So on Saturday morning, you and I talked about why, without knowing about that whole hoax thing, we were just talking off the cuff. Why is he still alive? When is he going to die? And then all of a sudden, I'm like, why are we getting... I forgot we even talked about it until we're getting all this hate mail about how we killed Abe Vigoda.
I don't think we
Hey,
understand our power,
can
Glenn.
you talk about other people then? Can I give you a list?
Email it over. We will review.
I'm just gonna throw it out right now. Kardashian.
What's up with that Kim Kardashian? How's she doing? When's she gonna die? Why is she still alive?
Why is her butt
She's a-
so big?
Why does she taste like RJ? Sorry.
Ray J.
Ray J.
Hold on a second.
All right. So while Liz is doing something, we can discuss the fact that this is not an 80s movie we're doing tonight.
It's an
In
80s
fact,
movie.
It's our first movie from the aughts that we've ever done.
I thought it was 99.
Yeah. No, it
I
was
saw
in the 2000s,
2000.
I think.
Maybe it is 2000.
I don't know. It's controversial.
Controversial.
So why are we doing this, Michael?
If only everyone just
While
had, like...
researcher Liz is finding out, Michael, why are we doing a movie from 99 or 2000?
That's 2000. I felt like we needed to do it. It's about time. We would have done it last week as little technical difficulties, so we decided to just talk about the awesome episode about skiing from Always Sunny in Philadelphia. But this week we're going to talk about American Psycho from the year of our Lord 2000.
The movie really does a great job of doing the 80s.
It's a good representation of the 80s, yeah.
So, also, real quick, before we dive into this, we do want to let everyone know next week we're doing a pod short because this week was the 30th anniversary of the 1985 Chicago Bears win. Liz, did you feel the electricity in Chicago this week?
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. It's exactly the answer I expected. But we're still going to talk about it, and then the week after that, we're going to talk about Space Camp.
That's such a good movie.
Yeah, and coupled with that, we're going to discuss the unfortunate events of 1986.
No, I saw that all over things today. Like it's the 30th anniversary of that whole.
I read an article about that today that's very interesting and about how we were all lied to. We'll discuss it in 2 weeks. So, we decided to do American Psycho. Christian Bale, Justin Theroux. Is that the guy married to Aniston?
Yeah.
That's what I thought. Josh Lucas, Chloe, whatever. I can never.
70 or whatever.
Do you know who I am? Reese Witherspoon.
Jared
I
Leto.
forgot about that.
What?
I said Jared Leto. He's in it.
Yes, he is. William Dafoe. Samantha Mathis from Pump Up the Volume fame. She showed up in the movie.
Good movie.
So, this movie, it was a book, and transformed to a movie in 1999. They shot it. Came out in 2000. Michael, did you say I was right yet?
2000.
Did you? No.
Yeah.
I want to hear you say I was right.
The question that we had for the year of the release, it was 2000.
And
To be fair, it wasn't. You didn't say release. It's just when's this movie from? And one could argue filmed in '99.
Wired. You're not allowed to use your legal ability in this podcast unless it's on my behalf.
Gotcha.
Okay.
I would say Glenn was correct.
Thank you. I'll take it. Okay. So, this movie originally was bought to become a movie in '91. People attached throughout the duration were Brad Pitt. He wasn't the first, though. There was another actor who was famous. I can't remember who it was before him.
Wasn't Tom Cruise linked to this too? I think there was like
No.
There was like anyone who was famous. Like, they were...
Tom Cruise was Christian Bale's inspiration.
Okay.
I could see that. Yeah.
So the woman who finally made this happen wanted, not completely unknown, but kind of unknown. She wanted Batman before he was Batman. But the studio wanted Leo. So there was a great debate about this, and she ultimately quit the movie. And Oliver Stone took over and then made it a clusterfuck and Leo finally dropped out because his good friend Christian Bale talked him into dropping out. And then Christian Bale took it. And the original director came back, and this is the movie that we got. Before we get into it, do you guys like this movie?
I always liked it.
Michael?
I think the more I watch it, the more I like it. It is. I guess I really wanted. I was sick of happy '80s movies. This is kind of subversive and kind of dark. It's kind of. There are very funny parts in this.
So there's another movie, and I believe it was based on a book wrote by Bret Easton Ellis as well, called Bright Lights, Big City with Michael J. Fox.
Well, I know he did Less Than Zero.
Yeah, maybe he did. I think he did Bright Lights, Big City.
See, that's what I was thinking. Did he do Bright Lights, Big City?
He did do Bright Lights, Big City. So it seems to me this was the movie that he wanted Bright Lights, Big City to be, without the murder. But Bright Lights, Big City, lots of coke, lots of '80s partying, but it didn't quite take it far enough. And American Psycho took it all the fucking way. This movie takes place in 1987. The book took place in 1989. Just small differences. Nothing really major. There's a couple things that make it stand out as being 87. But the movie starts. How does the movie start, Michael?
Real quick, he did also do Less Than Zero. Do you think there was a part where Goose from the Top Gun film in Less Than Zero forces a man who has a debt to him to fillet him? This is in Less Than Zero. You think that's too dark? You think there's not enough funny in Less Than Zero?
I think there's a difference between coke and heroin.
Okay, exactly. And you need to
heroin-
have Robert Downey Jr. in that movie to differentiate that.
Yeah, heroin's a type of drug where you might want a dude to suck you off because you don't know what the fuck's going on. Coke's the type of drug where you just want to fucking murder people and have fun. Woo! Listen to fucking Sports by Huey Lewis. Coke's a fun
I'm
one.
gonna need to videotape myself while we do this.
Hey, real fast, speaking of Huey Lewis,
Yeah.
that actually not featured on the film soundtrack.
Yeah, so there were actually soundtracks, a few released with it, but they never got the rights to release it. You were correct. So yeah, they tried to recall many. They recalled almost all of them, and then they had to take out Huey Lewis, which is a shame because if I want to listen to a soundtrack, I want to listen to Huey Lewis.
I'll never see that.
Michael, I could be wrong, but before my first marriage, the night before, did we not sit in my driveway and talk about Huey Lewis? Like on a podcast?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, mental note.
Have you seen? I think they do a scene in American Dad where they do a spoof of the Huey Lewis scene. Has anyone seen? Anyone watch the American Dad? I don't know if you guys really.
I've seen the show, but I haven't seen that.
Okay.
Oh, is it still on?
Yes, I mean it's on Netflix. I don't know if it's still.
Oh, because TBS bought the rights.
Like everything's still on.
Right. Well, I mean, TBS bought the rights like a year ago to make new ones, and then I haven't seen them, so I didn't know. So the movie starts with food. It shows food. Restaurants are a huge part of this movie. Everyone, they talk a lot about restaurants.
It's important to get your reservations at the best restaurants, because who are you if you are not eating at the best restaurants? Even when you're cheating on your fiancé, you still want to go to the best restaurant.
Exactly. Well, I mean, okay, let's just assume it's the 80s. Everyone's cheating.
You're not cheating, you're not trying. It's like, you just think it's the 80s, and everyone's on cocaine, so why isn't everyone sleeping around?
Which is weird, because sometimes coke gives you the effects that make it difficult to sleep around if you're a guy. I'm just saying.
Okay.
Sometimes, not always.
It's a rumor. I've heard about it.
So, this movie has, so it starts out, we have three douchebags sitting around, eating good food. They don't have a good Coke bathroom. I remember there's a place in town, I'm sure both of you have at least heard of it. It's no longer there. It was called the Club 110.
Yes.
And my boss at the time was also a DJ there. We'll leave his name out of it. But Liz, you probably would know who he is. His initials are EP. And I went to Club 110 one time to see him. It was not a haunt of mine. And I didn't go to the DJ booth where I went to the bathroom, and he was there, and he goes, "Hey, LT, look at this." And he just takes his finger across the back of a urinal, and it was just covered in white Coke. And I was just like, so this is a good Coke bathroom, because I had watched American Psycho. I'm like, oh, so this is a good Coke bathroom. Got it.
I went and do you remember Big Mike? He went to high school with you.
Yeah.
He's from where Adam lives.
Yeah.
He lived in Nashville, and we went to this bar there, and he's like, "Hey, we're at this bar right here. Yeah, Willie Nelson did cocaine in the bathroom in here."
You should have been like, why aren't we doing cocaine?
Yeah, how come we're not doing cocaine?
So these douchebags, the bill comes, and they all throw it on their Amex card. I love that scene.
Did they have the black card?
What?
Did they have the black card or the silver card?
They all had the same card. It wasn't black. It was gold, I think.
Okay.
Then they proceed to go to a dance club. Now, Liz, I thought of you in this scenario when I was watching this movie. Why weren't we, like, we were born a decade too late. I think you agree?
No, totally agree. Yeah.
I think that like an 80s dance party bar, I think that would have that's us. Like that's what we should have been doing. But no, we had to go to freaking grade school.
Yeah, we were just old enough, and we're just old enough to understand what was happening and how cool it was, but we weren't old enough to do anything about it.
Right. So you go to this club. They're playing 80s music, but not ironically. Everyone's having a good time.
Still a great soundtrack.
$25 for a Stoli.
That's bullshit.
I know
it still doesn't exist. That price still doesn't exist.
Yes, that's fucking ridiculous. It actually upset me.
Is this the first scene where he talks about dismembering the bartender?
Yeah, he tells the bartender that he wants to stab her and play in her blood. And this is where the Stewie Family Guy situation comes in. So if you're watching Family Guy, the question of can anyone but Brian actually hear Stewie, no one knows. So in this movie, can people hear him make these comments? We don't know, really, because no one seems to react to them. So the assumption is no, but you see him make them. This will be a common theme throughout the movie. We'll talk about it at the end. But this is the first time we have these questions. And that's when we also get the first, or we go back to, and we get the first voiceover from Patrick Bateman. He takes care of himself. He's ripped. He's got a nice ass. I put that in myself. Liz, is that a nice ass? I mean, it's all muscle. It's a muscly ass.
You know, I'm gonna be honest though. His apartment, from a single girl standpoint, even if I knew the guy might murder me, just to meet a guy that has a nice apartment that keeps it that clean, I'm okay with it.
I mean, I respect your opinion. Maybe that's information I should have known 15 years ago, 10 years ago, even though I was broke and I could never have had. I mean, I had an attic apartment in Franklin Park. I thought that was pretty.
That attic was full of shit, Glenn. There was shit everywhere. You had an ashtray. You had an ashtray. I guess you were just collecting years worth of ashes into that ashtray.
Well, no, it was a very large ashtray. So I didn't have to dump it every day. It was convenient.
But yeah, Mr. Bateman was very ripped in this, and he talked about his workout and his skin and his lotioning and his washing. But sometimes you find yourself having male body issues watching this film. At least me personally, I'm like, I'll never be as beautiful as him. But then you find out he's got he's got his own personal chef, and he has a trainer that works with him 3 or 4 hours a day while they were making this movie. Even while they were shooting, he was still working out with this personal trainer. So it's unrealistic body issues that I need to deal with. Never mind.
No, you should always have unrealistic issues.
Exactly. I'm gonna go.
If you don't look at yourself once a day in the mirror and say, "I hate you. I hate me. What's wrong with me? I lose 40 pounds," then you're doing something wrong.
I'm probably gonna do 8-minute abs right after this show.
No, 80 minutes.
I'm just doing 10 times. I'm doing 8-minute abs 10 times.
Yeah.
So then he goes through his beauty regimen. Now, skin is God's gift.
Largest organ in the body.
I apply several things to my skin. Nothing like him. Nothing like him. I'm going to say it's impressive. His discipline, impressive.
I don't know. If you're a female, it's kind of like, yeah, I get it.
They said during the shooting that ladies would just show up from different parts of the filming and just watch him bathe during the bathing scenes.
Again, if I knew the guy were a killer, I'd still be okay with it. He didn't just look good, but like even the character himself, he had his shit together. Nice suits, nice apartment, good skincare.
A great CD collection.
Yes. John, is my soulmate a fictitious serial killer?
Yes.
That's a whole nother conversation with a whole different level of people.
I'm going to be honest with you. I was going to break that out later in the show. But, I mean, we'll make that a common theme.
Am I on here because it's an intervention?
Well, no, because there's no one left in your life to intervene.
We all wrote a letter to you, but I don't know if it's... Anyway.
So... Please accept this help today, or I will not pay for your cell phone bill anymore.
No.
So he talks about how there's an idea of Patrick Bateman, but it's not really him. Like, there is no real Patrick Bateman. He just lives off this idea, which is funny because later on in the movie we find out basically that no one even really knows who he is. So there's no real idea of him. It just in his mind there is. And then we have our favorite interlude of all 80s movies, the Walking on Sunshine montage. Look Who's Talking. Many others have used Walking on Sunshine. This movie obviously...
It's a great song.
I would listen to it every morning when I woke up if I could. I mean, I probably could.
Was it in Vice Versa?
I think it was in Vice Versa. Well, Judge Reinhold, Fred Savage, body switching in Chicago.
Fred Savage,
yeah. He starts watching TV in his office, which I'm down with. Like, I'd watch TV in my office. You know, I probably could watch on my phone.
He's not a big fan of his secretary dressing like a man. She needs to come to work in a skirt so he can think about banging her all day.
Yeah. What's her name?
That's Chloe Savigigi.
No, but what's her
her stage name?
What's her Jean?
Yeah, I was gonna say Jane. I'm like, I remember him. She had a plain name.
They gave her like a common name, like a common name, but just name of whatever.
Like it's uniquely smiling when he says that. She's like, oh. Like,
she's obviously weak in the SWV style form. That's Sisters with Voices.
Yeah, I remember.
So then we get the Robert Palmer tape. He plays it as he's in. Well, he always has a driver, and now he's with his fiance, Reese Witherspoon.
I totally forgot Reese Witherspoon was in this, but she does.
I did too, actually.
She plays the annoying waspy bitch pretty well.
Well, that's what she. No acting there. Do you know who I am? Do you know who I am?
I know who you are.
So she's engaged to Patrick Bateman. She's basically like spilling her soul to him about their marriage and everything. I mean, superficially, but all he's concerned about is are they going to get a decent table at the restaurant, which really is all you should be concerned about.
That's the only reason to date.
Yeah. I mean, I like to go to fine restaurants, and by fine restaurants I mean the Parkview Inn. But I better get the best table at the Parkview Inn.
They got deep fried mushrooms there, Glenn.
They do. Good observation. And the menu at this restaurant is in Braille. If I show up to a restaurant and the menu's in Braille, I'm fucking out of there.
Yeah, because like they're obviously they're trying too hard.
Or they're all blind, and I don't want them cooking my food if they're blind. No offense to blind.
Don't they meet up with some artists that are like Reese Witherspoon's cousins or something? Her cousin and his her fiance too, or her boyfriend too.
Yeah. So
and they both are equally vapid groups of people. They're just different groups of people. Like one's the art group, and this is like the high end Wall Street group, and they're both just suck as people.
basically everyone at the table is having an affair with each other.
Yeah.
Which is my kind
I
of
love it.
Like I want to go to a dinner, and Liz is with me, and your wife is with you, and MF Jones and his lady are there, and then secretly we're just all sleeping with each other.
I mean, if you're on Wall Street and you're a literal master of this universe, you deserve to get whatever you want whenever you want.
Right. And you can, because you're a man. It's the 80s. You're on Wall Street.
And there's no way all that cocaine is affecting your erectile dysfunction.
So the woman that Patrick Bateman is having an affair with, you find out basically that no one likes her guy, and in fact he's gay. We'll discuss that later. But she's on lithium like nonstop, and lithium isn't just like anything. Lithium's the shit. Like that's gonna knock your ass out.
So wait, time out. Does that still exist?
It does, but they don't.
They give it?
No, it's very tough to get, I think, now. I think basically you have to be in a mental institution to get lithium. But I remember the first time I saw this movie, they were talking about how she was also on Xanax. And I guess in my stupidity, I didn't realize Xanax was a thing in the 80s. I thought it was just Valium. But apparently Xanax is out there. Well, I'm sorry, what, Liz?
It's just an important drug that's been around forever.
Yeah, and I did not realize that. So I learned a lesson from this movie. So that's a plus. So we next go to, he's at this Chinese dry cleaner, like there's any other. He's got these bloody sheets, and he runs into this girl.
It's red wine. It's red wine, Glenn.
Yeah, he tells her it's red wine, and basically like she wants to have a date with him so bad. He's yelling at the lady. And she wants to have a date with him so bad that he just leaves him with her, even though she can obviously tell it's blood. But back to Liz's point, she probably knows he has a great apartment. So she's like, well, I mean, he's lying to me about these extremely bloody sheets, but I really want to go to his apartment, so I'm just going to pretend that it's red wine like he said.
He's clean. He's got good hair. Obviously, he's got some kind of pedicure going on. He's a catch. And you don't really care if your life's threatened at all, as long as it's a nice, clean apartment.
No, but that's really important. And he had a nice, like, non-oily skin.
His skin was beautiful. I mean, there's no doubt.
Again.
Yeah, we next find our hero, Patrick Bateman, in his apartment. He's watching porn, as one does.
But not 80s porn, because there's a distinction.
Well, yeah, this porn was actually made in the 90s. Now, if you can either read IMDb and get the titles, or you can pay really close attention to the pubic hair situation that was happening if you really focus.
Whoa, is that Toby Kai? I know that. I know that.
And if you do pay attention to that, you will know that 80s porn, lot pubes, 90s porn, no pubes.
Just smooth down there, just like Glenn.
Hey. I believe in a fresh, clean situation. Everything should be clean. So, while he's watching this porn, he calls his side chick, Lithium Girl.
Who doesn't have one?
I want a lithium girl.
So she's stoned out of her mind. She doesn't know what's happening. She doesn't want to hang out because she's stoned out of her mind on lithium and Xanax. And then he mentions a restaurant that she wants to go to. And she's in. He can't get into that restaurant, turns out. He gets laughed at, but she's so stoned that he takes her to a different restaurant, and she has no idea.
Seems like he had full intention of banging her, but she was so unconscious that he was unable to bang.
I actually
That's when I was able to bang.
Yeah, exactly. I was expecting a scene where he was banging her unconscious body. You didn't get it. I honestly was. I was like, oh.
Not a no. It's not a no.
Yeah.
What's that movie with Seth Rogen and Anna Faris about he's the cop in the mall? It's like Paul Blart, but it's funny.
Oh, I never watched it, but I know what you mean.
Well, there's a scene where he rapes her like that. It's
Well,
played for laughs. It's not appropriate, but it's still hilarious.
ironically, in 2007, I made a pact I would never watch a mall cop movie, and then 2009, there were just mall cop movies everywhere. So I really missed out.
Why would you make a pact randomly that you wouldn't watch a mall cop movie? Did you just pick a bad profession and say, like, if there's ever a movie about this profession?
Liz, I've lived a lot of lives, and I've done a lot of things.
Well, here and now, I fully proclaim that if there is ever a movie about a stenographer in a courtroom, I will not watch it.
Okay. Done. Done. Right after that scene is the first scene where we start talking about business cards, which plays a factor in this movie. We're in a boardroom. All the guys are basically using business cards as a metaphor for their dick. Oh yeah, look at this one. We have the great.
I wasn't getting that at all, Glenn.
I think you were. We have the great debate about the color bone versus eggshell. All this is in Patrick Bateman's mind. But then Bryce. Now, he mentions earlier in the movie, but they never follow up on it. He's pretty sure his fiancée is banging Bryce because Bryce is the coolest guy he knows. Bryce has raised lettering. Now, Michael, you got me business cards for Christmas last year for this podcast.
I don't know if we got raised lettering.
We did not, and now I'm mad. I want to give you back your Christmas present until you get a better one.
If you go to our Facebook page, we have a spoof that Think Geek did where they had different Star Wars characters exchange their business cards, like Boba Fett and Darth Vader and other TIE fighter pilots. And they've got a Han Solo in carbonite container for your business cards. It's a pretty cool spoof. It's from Think Geek. You can look at it on our Facebook page.
Who's Han Solo?
He's going to get his own movie, Glenn, and he's never going to die.
I don't know who he is.
Exactly.
So this next scene comes randomly the first time he kills somebody on screen. He beats just a random homeless guy to death.
Well, he kind of talks to him at first like a normal person, like, how do I get this guy to not be homeless? Like, what can I do to help this guy out? And you can see the wheels turning in his head. He's like, no, I'm just going to kill this guy.
Then we're in a car and we get we're in a restaurant with Jared Leto, Paul Allen. Coincidentally, is the guy who Windows, right? Paul Allen.
He does Windows.
He's his right-hand man in Microsoft.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And he's getting Paul wasted, but he asks if Ivana Trump's over there, which is the second Ivana Trump reference of the movie. So I wrote that down because I'm like, oh my God, this is gonna be great. This is gonna be like 28 Donald Trump references, and I can do a shot every time I see it. But that was it.
That was it.
And the restaurant they went to was the one off the grid, like, because I think he decided that he was going to kill him, or in his mind he decided that I'm going to take him off the grid. No one's going to know we went to this Mexican restaurant. And
well, you kind of talked over the fact that I thought that would be a perfect segue into us endorsing Trump for president officially.
Exactly. Put my stamp down. Trump for president. I had the polling people call me and they asked me about Donald Trump, and I just laughed in their face.
Well, I mean, he's a great man.
He's a great man.
It's also a good time, since we're talking about Donald Trump, to discuss how we also stand behind Dr. Cosby.
Okay, exactly.
It's also a good point to recognize that we both get our dentist now is in Minnesota. We've agreed to make a pact to drive up there for our cleaning because we support people who kill big game. It's also a good time to realize that we stole this bit. I stole this bit from someone else, so we're going to continue.
Okay.
So we get Paul wasted.
Yeah, we'll get in trouble for that.
Yeah. Amy Schumer, man. Amy
Yeah,
Schumer.
she's the most recent one.
I'm gonna have to go on. Opie and Anthony.
Chandler.
What?
She's a hack. I've always said it. She's a fat Chelsea Handler.
Ah,
Chelsea Handler is who's that guy? Tucker Max.
oh yeah. Oh, I totally agree. I agree. Chelsea Handler is Tucker Max with tits, except that Chelsea Handler makes up all of her shit, and he may too, but he made it up first.
She's total bullshit, and Amy Schumer's just like riding that caboose.
Yeah, if you're a woman, in fact, Liz, I don't understand why you haven't decided just to do this. If you're a woman who can go on stage and talk about your pussy, then you're gonna make millions of dollars.
And the thing is, and I don't have much of it in a lot of capacities, but it's called class.
Ah, good point.
And I really don't. So the fact that I'm saying I wouldn't do it because of class means, to me, it's been there, done that.
The Real Housewives of New York once taught me that money don't buy you class.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure if me and Glenn were ladies and we had a podcast, we'd talk about our vaginas a lot.
No, I mean, I'll talk about my vagina, but at the same time, I just, it's already been said. Like, everything that these people do now, like women that go up there, it's like, it's been done. Move on.
So I started listening to this podcast. I listened to 2 episodes, and now I'm officially over it. Because I read, there's this great podcast with these 2 funny women comedians. It's called Guys We Fucked, or something like that. And so I downloaded one just for curiosity, and it was okay. But, it was what you expected. Hey, we say things that girls shouldn't say, and we're funny. And I was like, the first one. Yeah, the first one, they had a decent guest, so I was like, oh, this is good. So I listened to it, and I was like, well, it's mediocre. I'll give it another one. In fact, on the way to Michael's house in Galesburg this last Saturday, I started one, and I got 20 minutes into it, and I'm like, yep, that's what I thought. Same gimmick every week. So then I was like, well, I really like the guest who was on their first one. She's a comedian, so I'll listen to her podcast. And her gimmick is that she orgasms at the end of every podcast. So that lasted 3 minutes, and I turned it off. Because, is that what we have to do now? Is that what, sells people on shit? Fuck that. It pisses me off. I'm sorry. That was a tangent.
I totally agree.
Yeah, be original.
Women are trying too hard now. They went the whole other direction. They went from being the, Donna Reed and the Mary Tyler Moore to the Amy Schumer types. Where it's now you're just gross. And I don't know.
Yeah, they're
like a housewife and a little racist and a little disgusting slutty and I don't know.
Well, you know what? Let's leave it a little to the imagination. If you can be talented enough to border on it without saying it and get laughs, I respect that because you're creative enough to get people to think of what you mean without just coming out and saying, "Here's my vagina." But if you're just coming out and saying, "Here, look at my pussy," then there's no talent in that. The talent is to get people to think what you're saying without actually saying. And unfortunately, that's the lost part.
Off topic, but yes, I agree. Okay.
So, Mr. Bateman.
So hip to be square.
Yeah, he gets Paul wasted. They go back to his apartment, and he talks in a great, awesome dialogue for 5 minutes on why Huey Lewis sports.
Well, I think his body movements as well. He's running in place.
Well, I've never been more motivated to listen. That was a campaign speech. That was speak at a high school graduation, speak before my next marathon. That seriously is the most pump up speech in the world.
So 2 things about that speech. First of all, he watched we mentioned this earlier, he watched an old Tom Cruise appearance on Letterman. And he thought Tom Cruise was so genuinely fake happy that he used that for his inspiration. And all of the dancing was improv. So he just went in there and just kind of improv the dancing part. It wasn't in the script. And the director, she was laughing so hard on the floor that she's like, that's the take. Because his dancing was awesome. And it really made the killing with the acts very fluent. But if you just stop and listen to everything he said about Huey Lewis. Now, I know it wasn't his words. It was Bret Easton Ellis. But it's perfect. It's absolutely perfect for the scene right before you kill somebody. I will put this murder scene up against any murder scene in any movie or any television.
Pause.
Pause.
To get off topic again, but Clockwork Orange.
Ooh, that's good.
The penis scene.
Yep, when he beats her with a statue.
Yeah, that's true. That's up there.
Okay. I'd have to put them side by side. Like, I'm not saying one's better than the other. I'm just saying we've got.
Well, I think the only fair way to judge this is once we start our murder podcast on great murders in cinema, that we can discuss this and we can put all of them side by side and we can have a bracket and we'll find out what the best murder scene is by vote. So he stabs Paul with the axe. He gets rid of Paul.
He takes Paul downstairs, and he puts him in the car, and he takes him to his apartment, right? To Paul's apartment?
Yes.
And then he fakes his trip to London, where everyone has apparently seen him.
So, save that note for later. I want to discuss that. So, now he's back in his office, and the detective, William Dafoe, comes in, and he's questioning him. Now, interesting thing about the scene is, or in all of the William Dafoe scenes throughout the movie.
Dafoe. Wait, do it again.
Willem.
Dafoe. I was hoping somebody would like. I was gonna mention it, but I'm like, no.
Okay.
All of his scenes throughout the movie is that you can't tell like what he actually thinks of Patrick Bateman. And the director, she gave him the direction. They filmed 3 different ways. One is to know that he did it. The other was then to do dialogue as if he didn't know he did it. And the third is to do dialogue as if he's just not quite sure. And so what she did was she took all of those takes and melted them together. So one question he asks, and you're like, oh, he totally thinks he did it. And the next question, you're like, I don't know. So she did a really good job of editing that dialogue, so you never quite get where he's coming from.
After seeing Making a Murderer, I'm pretty much an expert on cops interviewing people. It kind of felt like he seemed like he was doing him a favor, like, hey, I'm just here, I'm doing you a favor, talking about your friend that's missing in London.
Quick question without any explanation. Do you still feel the same way as the last time we talked?
Yeah, and I talked to someone else about it.
You go fuck yourself.
We can talk about it when we're done. Liz, have you watched it?
I have a totally third-party opinion that you're going to really enjoy.
Okay.
Oh, just break it out. I want to hear it.
I don't really enjoy watching people that are that unattractive and that poor. Like, it was disgusting. Like, watching them, their grammar and their teeth. I've only made it through about 1.5 episodes, and I don't care. I think they should the whole family should just be put away in like a federal penitentiary and killed because they're gross.
Yeah. You got motherfucker Jones to laugh. So.
I don't care. Like I've read enough. I have read up on it. I have opinions on that, but watching it, I'm like, ew. If like a jury saw you, of course they're putting you away. You're disgusting.
Hold on, though. It's a Wisconsin jury. You can't tell me they look any better.
No, I get that, but these people are terrible. So they're really bad, and like, so like honestly, like they can't have IQs above 70. They're poor. They probably eat lunch meat.
Bologna, even.
Yes. No, I honestly couldn't get through it because every time I tried to watch, I've tried. Because everybody loves it. It's like the big thing. Every time I try to watch it, I just get frustrated by how like much I'm already like I wouldn't be good on that jury because I hate them so much. I'm like, oh God, just let them fry. People like talking about settling for $400,000. I'm like, yeah, because that's probably a lot of money to you. Like, yeah, locked away for 18 years. You have to give me like $400 billion, and that little poor bastard, and he's so disgusting with his misdeeds. Like, $400,000. I'm like, no, I shut it off. I couldn't handle it. People like that. No, TV is meant to be like attractive people or humorously fat people. not that third category, whatever that was.
Uh,
And there you go.
Okay.
I love it.
Thank you. Good insight.
So, no one knows where Paul is. And then he tells William, who? What was his name again?
Willem Dafoe.
Defoe.
Dafoe. He has a lunch meeting with Cliff Huxtable, which I love. I love
Dr. Cliff Huxtable.
Dr. Cliff Huxtable. He also uses throughout the movie as an excuse when he's trying to get out of a situation. He always says he has to go return his videotapes.
Yeah, I got to return my videotapes. Hold on. That was
You
awesome.
guys don't remember what a drag that was back in the day?
Oh yeah, you got to be kind of rewind that shit.
No, rewind, and if you didn't get it on time, it was like, my parents used to get so mad at me. They'd go to rent movies, and they're like, yeah, you have a $50, like, whatever charge, and, yeah, sorry, Mom.
That's really the only time my dad has ever really been mad at me. When I was 16, drove him to the garage, all kinds of, coming home at all hours. Dad doesn't care. But if you return a videotape late, he gets pissed. That cost me $3.
We're going to welcome back MH to the room. He has missed a lot.
Okay.
A lot. So
It's all frozen in time. So.
he hires a hooker. Tells the hooker's name is Paul Allen. And oops, that's some noise there. He has her bathe, and then he specifically wants her to clean her vagina. Liz, is that a request that's not appropriate?
Well, I don't know. Thankfully, no one's ever asked that of me.
Say you were to hire a hooker.
I guess if I were a hooker, and I knew I was a hooker, which, as they tend to, and I was at a higher class clientele's apartment.
So that'd be a call girl.
Yes. I feel like that's okay, but like, if they're higher class, they're usually only doing other high class men too, and assumingly he's gonna wear a condom, because.
Well, but here's the thing. She was a hooker, and then he called a call girl. So he did both. He did both of the spectrum of ladies.
The thing is, he's a hooker and he's paying by the hour, so at the end of the day, do whatever he asks. You're getting paid for it, sweetie.
Exactly.
At that time, it's not her vagina; it's his vagina.
Yeah. No, precisely.
So she agreed. Then the call girl shows up, and then he went into his Phil Collins monologue. Was not a big Genesis fan until 1980. The album Duke turned him. That was really when Phil Collins made his presence known.
Replace the Peter
Peter
Gabriel.
He didn't like Peter Gabriel, but
I don't like Peter
really,
Gabriel either.
No, but I love Peter Gabriel on his own. Those are some great music videos, and you know it.
I guess
agree.
one other thing about this movie is like, this probably came out like in the peak of our 80s partying, like our 80s themeness. Like we never stopped loving the 80s, and we had 80s themed parties, and like they're coming out. It wasn't like now coming out with 80s movies. This was in 2000, you know, and they're coming out with this movie about the 80s, and you're like, thank God they're making this movie for people like me who love the 80s.
Quick shout out to
The 90s.
Yeah. Real quick shout out to frequent podcast, our Facebook contributor, Joe L. He just posted a parody of the Guys We Funked podcast done by the Legion of Skanks. So I look forward to watching this later. But thanks for the interaction during the podcast, and we appreciate that. So I look forward to watching this later. It's the Guys We Fucked parody on our Awesome 80s our Facebook page. So apparently this is a thing. Apparently everyone knows about this shitty.
I've never heard of this.
Well, that's the podcast I was talking about earlier, where these girls basically talk to guys they fucked, and they try to say vulgar things to make you want to listen, and it sucks.
But
So
most of the time they fuck, just like, just get a phone book. Or a sex offender registry. I don't know.
So he videotapes himself having sex with both the call girl and the hooker. They actually watched.
I had a real close friend who was into videotaping, and he told me it was a bad idea. It's a lot of balls.
Oh,
It's a lot of that.
okay. Here's my thing. There's something to be said about a sex tape that has like an actual like camcorder on a stand. It's just not the same with cell phones now.
I agree.
You want to get in there. You want to handheld it. You want to cinema verite. That's what you want.
However,
it requires you to hold something or like prop it up. It's just not. I don't know. Like I wish I could have made sex tapes back in the 80s.
Well, but the problem with that, as Michael just said, because he's an asshole, is that there's really no great angle when you have the tripod. It's just a lot of balls.
It's true.
Maybe you're not as creative as you should be, Glenn.
Why is this being put on me?
Why is there only one camera?
This friend of mine, maybe they weren't as creative as they needed to be with their tripod.
So, he videotapes him having sex. So what they did was they watched porn, and then he mapped it out with like stick figures with them on like how they could go back and forth.
He John Maddened it. So
he did. He got a telestrator, and he basically mapped out how they were going to film this porn scene. And then he tried to fucking hurt him real bad.
Again, clean apartment. He's fun in bed. 2 out of 3 ain't bad.
Well, that's what Liz and Meatloaf both agree on. So the girls leave. He pays them.
So you're to assume that he's trying to create this backstory for Paul, that like he's a horrible person, he treats prostitutes horrible, and that way they know he's in town somewhere. Okay,
but this is my problem with that. I thought about that. But you do know what a photo ID is, right? Like a photo lineup?
Yeah.
Because they showed him a picture of who's Paul. They're not going to pick him. They're going to pick the friend. So it was really not a smart plan. Like I was like, oh, I see. No, wait a minute. That doesn't make any sense. I don't know. So they leave. He's at a lunch with his friends again.
He hangs out with Lewis is there, follows him to the bathroom.
Well, Lewis first shows the business card, and it's really nice, and it pisses Bateman off. So Bateman falls in the bathroom.
The dick that Lewis has is much more attractive now.
Yeah, Bateman's going to kill him. So he puts his gloves on, and he kind of grabs him. And Lewis turns around, and Lewis takes this as oh, you want to fuck me.
And then he's Samantha Mathis's fiance, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Lewis wants to then have sex with him. I was one time at a bar, a gay bar with friends.
Wait, the bistro?
That's the one. And we were there because my boss at the time, who you may know, Liz, Frank P. Would be his name. Last name very.
I know.
You got it? Okay.
Barely, I don't know, but I know. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm at the urinal and I'm peeing, and then I feel something on the back of my neck, and it's his lips. So I turn around, like I finish. I'm like, "What the fuck are you doing? You're my boss, and you are married to a woman." And then I basically just left the bar. And then he tried it again on someone else that we know, Josh S. That same night, and then he left, and we never saw him again. So I understand the misunderstanding that could have happened, but in this case, Bateman does what I did, which is he hightails it out of the bathroom and leaves. Because what are you gonna do? Guys trying to make out with you in the bathroom, you're gonna just leave, unless you're really into that. I also want to, real quick, give a shout out to our co-host Liz. I'm gonna give you 100% on those guesses. So well done.
Wait, yeah.
You did it.
There's many layers of this show. There's different layers of this show.
There's different layers.
Yeah.
She telepathically communicated to me who she thought, and she was correct on both accounts. So We try not to name full names
I
here.
remember the first one. I don't know who he is or what he is or whatever, but like you said enough that I'm like, all of a sudden I'm like, I
Yeah.
can't tell you what I ate for lunch today. Nothing. But
So,
So Lewis declares his love for Bateman, but he's disgusted and leaves. And then he kills a model at this point.
well, he actually left by saying, I have to go return videotapes. So
Okay.
He did that again. He has another meeting with Kimball. He's got more questions. They agree to have lunch at a later time. Then he goes and has intercourse with Lewis's lady, Samantha Mathis.
Okay.
And she keeps saying, like, you got to call me by Easter. Call me after Easter. Which you think, once again, there's something in this movie you're like, oh, this is going to be a thing later on. It was not.
Mm-hmm.
Never came back.
big in the 80s?
What?
Was Easter big in the 80s?
I don't think so. In fact, in the original movie, or in the book, it was Christmas. So I don't know what the connection was. I don't know what the Easter thing was. I thought it was going to lead to something.
I believed in Christmas in the 80s, so maybe, like, I get it from a child standpoint.
Yeah.
Loved it.
I mean, children love this movie.
Like,
To me,
And
they do.
To me, it kind of felt like their vacationing situation.
So, just she was so passionate about it, I just thought something was going to happen. So they go to this dance club again. They got weak coke, not good coke. They get into a steroid fight with the guy doing drugs in the next stall. Everything's fine.
But that shot was amazing. Like, you just went like this overhead shot of every stall in this bathroom and coke.
Which is why I would have imagine an 80s club to be. So I thought it was a good reputation. He takes home a model. She doesn't think he respects her because she's a model. But he does, and he takes her home. We don't see anything else about it. But this is one of the nice things about this movie. So the very next scene, he's in his office, and he just quickly pulls out a braid of her what you presume to be her hair. So you don't see the killing, but it's implied he killed her, and he kept that. He invites.
Classic.
Yeah.
It's romantic.
It's very romantic. All great serial killers take souvenirs.
I imagine Bateman having lots of rubber gloves, and he had the plastic raincoat earlier, and lots of bleach. Like, he wants a clean place.
Yeah, he was the original Dexter.
Again,
Liz would go there. She'd be fine with it.
like the more we talk about it, I'm like, where is this man?
So he invites Jean, the frumpy assistant, and I don't think she was really frumpy, but they made her look frumpy, to dinner. He makes a fake reservation, which she basically calls him out on, but yet still goes along with it because she really wants him. So they meet at his place for drinks at 7. He opens the fridge to get her some sorbet, and there's a severed head. So that's fine. She doesn't see it. Yeah. So he's trying to sit there and choose the knife that he's going to kill her with. So he's trying to be methodical about it. And at this point is like the third time in the movie where he throws out like a random serial killer fact, and everyone's like, "What?" Like, he throws out a fact about Ted Bundy, and he threw some Ed Gein quotes out earlier. So it's just kind of to play up his serial killerness. And he asks her, have you ever wanted to make someone happy? And she gives like this great answer that kind of, I think, touches him. And then he has the nail gun. He's behind her. Great visual, about to kill her. And then Reese Witherspoon calls. She leaves a message on the machine. And the girl gets kind of sad because Jean really likes Patrick. And she...
That's her boss, though.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've all made bad decisions. So... She really likes him, but at this point, he stops, and he kind of sees that emotionally she's like a good person. She's not, and I'm not trying to say anything bad against Call Girls or Jared Leto's character or anything like that, but he sees that she's actually a genuine person, and he kind of gets feels for the first time, and he lets her go, and she's not sure she wants to go.
He's like, you need to get out of here. You need to go. Right,
and he keeps telling her, I'm going to hurt you, and she's thinking emotionally. Obviously, he's thinking physically. So she leaves. He lets her go. He then has a lunch date with Kimball. They go over questions. He basically gets cleared where he thought he was about to be implicated. So he's so happy he goes out and finds the same prostitute from earlier. She has to have surgery because of all the physical things that he did to her. He pays her with a check, and then he dangles money out like a puppy dog out the window, brings her back in to have another situation with her.
But it's like this 80s Wall Street conspicuous consumption, just like Wall Street scumbag. I felt like Wolf of Wall Street. Definitely.
What was that, Liz?
May I speak?
Go ahead.
I would be fine with a guy like just like beating the shit out of me if he turned around and paid for plastic surgery and I don't know, Botox and.
I don't know if Botox was a thing, but he definitely just at the time.
But like, just pay to fix it up. I mean.
Yeah, he wrote her a check.
And like, write me a check. I'm fine.
So this time he takes her to Paul's place. He says, "Let's not get lube." It's his quote. He brings her there. Now he has a coked up friend there. He keeps trying to convince her to have to engage in relations with the call girl who he claims is his cousin, which would be creepy, right? If you're like this girl and he's trying to make you like make out with another chick who's his cousin. I mean, that'd seem weird, but apparently it didn't. I don't know. It was the 80s.
No, it's fine.
So this was Elizabeth, right? And I get the feeling that they either almost were boyfriend and girlfriend at one time, or they're close friends. Or...
I think they mentioned they dated in the past.
Okay.
Or maybe that was in the book. At some point, yeah, they were ex-lovers. It might have been in the book and not the movie. But he drugs both of their drinks, even though I don't think he really needed to drug the call girls. They start making out. They're getting together.
Sabrina, right?
What?
Christy and Sabrina?
Yes. Yes. So they're the call girl's now watching as he starts really going to town on his friend, and then he bites her. He really starting to go after her. He's got blood, great visual blood all over his face. The call girl freaks out. There's a chase scene where he's chasing her. Eventually ends up killing his friend. Sabrina chases Christy with a chainsaw.
Which is, it's fantastic. It is a great scene.
It's a great video.
Great foreplay, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
You never know. She ends up being a few stairs ahead of him, so he throws the chainsaw down the stairwell, hits her, she dies. Great scene. It really is a great scene. Next scene, he's in a restaurant. He dumps Evelyn, Reese Witherspoon.
And they're like talking it out, like, you're not really dumping me. Are you dumping me? Is this really happening?
She took it really well. She took it so well.
Yeah, she did a great job. Next scene, we see him at the ATM, and he sees a cat, and he's about to shoot the cat. But then an old lady comes in, and she's like, "You're not going to do that," and he ends up shooting her, which respectable, right? So this is when he really starts to unravel. The police pull up. He goes in. He shoots a security guard, I believe at his work, a janitor. He calls his lawyer and leaves this long rambling message.
Oh, he has he has this very 80s moment where he rolls up on the police cars and he shoots them, and then they explode. Like every action movie, they just explode.
Yeah. And not a place, actually, to me. So he calls his lawyer. He admits everything. He goes through all the murders, even murders we didn't see. Casey's delivers now, Michael.
No, I'm just checking.
Whoa. Really?
Yeah, just started. Starts this week. Yeah.
That's the one thing I miss about downstate Casey's.
And now they deliver in all locations in Bloomington.
That literally is the best pizza in the world. The breakfast pizza. Do a breakfast pizza.
Oh, it's great.
No one appreciates it. Sorry.
The breakfast pizza is actually very good.
I just want some Gatorade and Funyuns.
They will not deliver you Gatorade and Funyuns unless you order a pizza.
What if my dip with I want dip?
There's coupons. Don't rip that. There's coupons.
Oh, I'm not. I'm
Okay. So then anyway,
My coops. My coops.
he gets home. He showers. He goes to Paul's place, like basically ready to clean up and see what he can salvage. And there's a realtor there, and she's showing it around. And he asks her, "Isn't this Paul Allen's place?" And she tells him not to make any trouble and to leave. So at this point, we don't know because it's all cleaned up. Like, so are they just trying to cover up what happened? Like, I don't know. There's this real uncertainty that happens. He calls Gene. He's flipping out. He's going crazy. Gene decides to go snooping through his date book. But then he's just going to go meet friends at Harry's like he had planned on. He's talking to his friends. There's the Reagan speech on, which is how we know this took place in '87. And he runs into his lawyer, and his lawyer doesn't even realize that that's him. His lawyer thinks that he is Davis, who's another one of their crew. So why does everyone not know? He calls Patrick Bateman spineless. Why doesn't anyone know who Patrick Bateman is?
That's a big question for the end of.
Yeah. So that's a question we'll discuss here in a second. The lawyer really starts to get creeped out, though, because he's really, like, in his face about it. Lawyer says that he had dinner twice with Paul Allen within the last 10 days in London. Jean goes through his book, and she starts really to cry because she sees all the drawings of all the murders he kind of mapped out. And then we have a voiceover to end it. His confession meant nothing.
Yeah.
So the question is, in this movie, is did he kill him or did he fantasize about it?
Yeah, like, was he even real? Like, was the whole thing...
Yeah.
Was his banter real? I mean...
So, do you guys have any opinions on this? Michael?
I feel like...
Liz?
Maybe it's... I have not read the book. I need to, but... I mean, readings for... wieners. I mean...
Nerds.
I'm
going to get this on tape.
I kid. No, I feel as if there's some sort of, like, philosophical reaction to the douchebaggery of the 80s, in which it was sort of saying, like, somebody was just, like, so angry about his own position, his reaction to the 80s, that, yeah, it was kind of in his own mind.
Yeah. And Michael, your thoughts?
It kind of feels like he's questioning himself. I mean, everyone, obviously he's got his MBA or whatever. You know, they went to school forever to get this job, this position, and I think maybe he's having this mental break and realizing that, you know, going out, having this relationship with false people, it's not really what it's cracked up to be, and he's having these fantasies to try to liven up his boring-ass life.
Yeah. It's kind of like the whole Fight Club, the same way the Fight Club then in the 90s did its thing.
Yeah, it's very Fight Club-esque.
Yeah, the whole sort of did it happen, or like, well, Fight Club we know.
Right. I mean, I like the fact that it kind of left it up to you to decide what you think. I think when I first saw it the first time, when it first came out, and I was just like, oh yeah, he did that. But the more I watch it, and I've seen it several times since, I think it's just something that was in his mind. And I think those drawings that Gene is going over were just a depiction of what he wanted to do, and basically we just saw him play his fantasies out in front of us.
Probably can I present one more opinion?
Of course.
Maybe, just maybe, it's sort of he did actually do it. He was a monster, but because he has money and because he's white and rich, upper echelon, upper crust, the world ignores that sort of crime.
The real estate lady wipes it under the rug. Everybody else in his circle.
She wants to sell the apartment.
Yeah.
As they should. I mean, like, yeah.
No one makes money off of a white Wall Street guy killing people.
Exactly. He had a great place. He killed in a great place. Let it go. But, like, there could be something said about that, like the way society allows a person like that to exist and ignores.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with you. And I think that's actually a stronger opinion than the other two alternatives.
I need to read the book. Maybe I'll have a better opinion if I can read it and stay, like, reading.
Nerd. So that's the movie in a nutshell. We'll talk. Let me get through some mandatory things, and then we'll kind of wrap it up and give some final opinions.
Real quick, when Heron was on Charlie Rose, she talked about how all she wanted it to be was to be ambiguous, the ending, the way the book was. But I think she talks about how she thinks it was a failure of hers,
at the final scene because it just got the emphasis was wrong, and then she thought she should have left it more open-ended, and it makes it look like it was more in his head, and she didn't want that to be. She wanted it to be more open-ended.
I'll agree. I think the strong hand presents that it was in his head, but I like the open-ended still, and I really like Liz's last opinion on that. I think that sadly or not sadly, more times than not is the case, depending on your view on that. So yeah, let me get through these mandatory.
Not sad. It's great.
All right, let me get through our mandatory plugs here, and then we will end it, and we'll have final opinions before we end it. We have a new Patreon subscriber. Thank you very much, Bobby S. Patreon, if for those of you listening who don't know, you are able to go to our website at theawesome80s.com or .net. We monopolize all of them. And you can click Patreon. You can donate a donation, any amount for each show. So basically, if you want to say you want to give us $1 a show, that'd be great. We will put that money towards making the show better, paying high-priced guests like Liz. She doesn't come cheap. She may say she does, but it's not true. It's very expensive. You can follow us on Twitter at Awesome80spod. Like us on the Facebook at facebook.com/Awesome80s. Circle us on the Google Plus at google.com/plus Awesome80s. You can like the video, subscribe to us on YouTube. Always a shout out to Talon, the Spider, the Black Cat, MH for letting us be here, Bobby Joe for her support. We always thank you for our listeners. We got the Chicago Bears podcast coming up next week, and then Space Camp, one of Liz's favorites, where we'll talk about Space Camp and that horrible tragedy of 1980. What'd you call it, Michael?
I don't remember. We'll bring it up later.
You had a great way to call it.
Unfortunate incident.
Unfortunate incident.
Well, it's like I don't want to put that on our Facebook page. I don't want to put that on our website. It's just an unfortunate incident.
MH has just pointed out if you, in 15 minutes, turn over to your National Geographic channel, you can watch the documentary called Challenger Disaster Lost.
Okay.
Thank you, MH, for that insightful information. So, Liz, thank you once again, as always. You will be back, of course, shortly, because you're one of our favorites. I don't think we need to tell you how awesome you are. I think you know it, but we'll still remind you of that. Maybe we'll send you a T-shirt.
Wait, there's T-shirts?
We'll send you a T-shirt. It's the least we can do.
I don't even have a T-shirt.
I'm going to send you a T-shirt.
Do you want like a lady cut? I bet you like a lady cut small.
Yes. It scares me that you know this.
I worked at a clothing store. I worked at the.
He did. He worked at the VFW.
Well, it's like you don't need to say everything was 1/2 off the lowest ticket.
Liz, it was right by your former employer.
Your former employer too.
Exactly.
I went through bins and bins and bins of women's underwear.
No, what was that word you couldn't say?
Panties.
Oh, I hate that word.
Panties.
Oh. He can't say it without giggling like a schoolgirl. It's great.
That's a gross word. I don't know why.
I'll say the story again real quick. I worked at the store, and I first started. My sister was already working there, and I got assigned the women's section to organize all the women's panties. And my sister's like, I don't think he's mature enough. Like, she's 5 years younger than me. And she's like, I don't think he's mature enough to work in this section. And like, I look down at my hands, and I just am holding like 30 pairs of women's underwear. I'm like, yeah, I'm not mature enough to work in this section.
I'm still. It's fine. I get it.
It's panties. There's going to be vaginas right next to these underwear.
There really are vaginas right there.
So, Liz, we try to tailor your episodes to movies we think that you enjoy and get, so we'll be once again in contact with you shortly. We'll schedule our next one.
I like the American Psycho was like hey, that's a Liz movie.
Well, Fatal Attraction and American Psycho are your last two. Think what you want about it.
No, but it's accurate.
And we need the woman's perspective. And you're like unlike any woman we know.
I don't think I'm a woman's perspective though.
Okay, so we want.
How do you feel about Basic Instinct as a film?
So we say we want the woman's perspective.
Okay. Basic Instinct actually, okay, so it came out like what, 90, 91?
92. I'm not saying I know that. But.
So my mother and father, dead, they went to see it. And my mom came home, like, I was allowed to see R-rated movies, but she would not let me see that. She's like, I don't want you to watch this one. And I was like, okay, whatever. My mom was pretty cool. Dead. But she was cool.
Stop doing that.
So I never watched it. And, like, even growing up, like, I was, like, in college. I'm like, can I watch Basic Instinct yet? She's like, I just don't want you to see that one. Like, I'm not okay with it. And I still today, like, I've not watched it.
Well, basically, your mom didn't want you to see a very blurry pause of a pussy. I mean, that's
no,
what.
I get that. Like, are you talking about like the whole like, oh, she crosses and then crosses?
Yeah, that's basically all it is.
That's how I cross, Mom.
Well,
Eat it.
Talk to
But
Mom.
no, she's like,
Because she's dead.
eat it. I'm like Michael Douglas before he started looking weird.
And before he got that cancer of the throat from going down on his wife.
Cunnilingus. Too much cunnilingus.
No, MF Jones. He said it, not me.
Oh, I know.
MF Jones is giving me looks over.
I remember.
It had a really sweaty Newman from.
Oh yeah. So anyway.
I'm trying to think of good 80s movies. Okay, so there's a weird 80s movie. Like, we're talking really obscure. I have not seen it since I was probably 8 or 9, and it was so creepy. There was actually 2 creepy movies from the 80s, and I'm like, I can't watch this anymore. I don't know where to find them, but one of them was called Something Wicked This Way Comes.
Okay, there's like spiders on the floor.
I just for Carousel.
Carnival
Creepy, right?
Carnival comes to town.
Yeah. Okay, the other one was called The Peanut Butter Project.
Peanut butter experiment, I think.
I thought it was Project.
Well, yeah, whatever. And the guy puts peanut butter on his downstairs business.
But like it's like a cancer movie, right?
Yeah, something like that. He loses his hair, and then it was like magic in the hair.
Wrong.
Yeah.
Can we
Okay,
agree on that?
I think we have ideas for Liz's next episode.
Okay.
We'll look through one of those.
But I have to watch them, and I haven't seen them since I was a child.
So, well, that will be fun. So we will pick a
Like,
time.
that was like 20 years ago. I mean,
We will pick a time in early March, and we will pick one of those, and we will watch it, and we will love it. So, Liz, thank you very much. Expect a package from us here shortly with a T-shirt. We will send to you at no cost to you, and maybe I'll get a package of like a thank you letter or something, and that'd be awesome.
you will.
Michael, I hope you have a
Lawrence.
great night. Liz, have a wonderful evening. And as always, guys, stay awesome.
Stay awesome, everybody.
Awesome. Thank you.